Hey guys, welcome to my breakdown of my new release, Shallow remix of Elevven and Sarah Mark's tune. Really happy with how this one came out. I feel like I brought my own sound to it and sort of made it my own, but hopefully you guys like it as well. So here we are in FL Studio with the project, and yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. It's not a massive amount of layers, to be honest. I like to try and keep my tracks pretty simple. But I think where the track really started for me was with the piano. So the piano comes straight out of Labs because that's the best piano ever made. And pretty much I start every tune in Labs, to be honest with you. Or 9 times out of 10, I'll open this up when I just want to start getting some melodics or chords going. Yeah, that's kind of my go-to. So the way I kind of got the progression was I looped the vocal, not actually in its form as it is currently here in this track, but I just had the vocal looping around. I was playing some chords and playing some notes, seeing what worked, and managed to come up with this chord progression here, and it's opened up over there. But here it is, you can see it. So it's mainly a G minor or C minor. I don't really know what the chord's called, to be honest with you. I have no idea about music theory. I'm not one of those guys, but yeah, it sounds good to me. I'm sure they're pretty basic chords, but here you go. I'll give it a play. Okay, so that's the chord progression. Something I like to do is play with the timing a little bit. So we've got 2 bars here, you see, for the first note, and then we'll move into the 1 bar chords. So it gives it a kind of little variation, and yeah, a nice kind of switch up, I think, on the last 4 bars there. So yeah, it's an 8 bar. I tend to do like an 8 bar progression because I feel like it gives more kind of diversity to the tune. But yeah, that's it, and that's kind of where the track started. So there's a little vocal there. I believe that is coming from Arcade, as usual with me, giving away all the secrets. And that's Zenith Falls from Distant Voices, and I pretty much use Arcade on every track. And as for effects, I just roll off the lows. So yeah, there's nothing going on there too fancy. I play a few different notes, and I really try and spend a lot of time to try and find the right vocals that work with the track. There's also a pad underneath, so basically just taking the MIDI notes straight from the piano and using Omnisphere, because that's basically one of the best tools to use for pads. I think I clicked it. Oh yeah, it takes a while to open the first time for some reason. But that's called Aero Pad, and it's from, I think it's the Joseph Hollow, sorry. It's one of the labels I've picked up over my time using Omnisphere forever and ever. But yeah, there's plenty of cool stuff out there if you have a look. But this one's called Aero Pad, and it's just play. Yeah, it's just a really lovely sort of pad. It doesn't really have any information around how it was made or anything. But yeah, this guy's website is here, so sound.artunouveau.com or something like that. Art Nouveau. Yeah, check out his sounds, awesome stuff. So yeah, I basically put that in Omnisphere. Sounds like that. So that's the pad that sits under at the start. We have some effects rolling in. Just a super simple sweep, and then that's like a reverse. Oh no, it's just the tail end of this reverse. So I just took the first little bit of that waveform, starting from there. Just took that bit. Let's just super, that little, yeah, so you can hear that there. All the other little stuff you can see is just automation moving knobs around on various synthesizers and bits and bobs that are going on throughout the tune, filters and stuff. So I won't really go into too much detail on those, but yeah, you can get the picture. So this clip here is the next sound. We've got bells coming. You can just kind of hear them there in the background start building up. And it's basically those piano chords staccatoed in a very classic way. Just, yeah, on sort of the triplets. Dotted eighths maybe. Dotted 16ths? Not sure. So those sort of build up, and obviously we introduced the vocal. So I did put quite a lot of processing on the vocal, as you can see. It came in, and I just wanted to make it sort of feel a bit like my own, so not just like the original vocal. I wanted to put my own feel to it, give my own feel, because I have a very distinctive kind of processing, or at least I try to, on my vocals. But I used a de-esser. There was some quite aggressive sibilance on the original vocal, which I had to deal with to enable me to process it in the way that I wanted to do so. So yeah, I had to drop out the S's with the old de-esser. And then obviously, like everyone else in this, everyone else who makes music, put Soothe 2 on it. Tell you what I'll do is I'll mute off everything, and we can hear the original, the way it sounded, and then bring them in one by one. Heart more deep than shallow. So there you can hear kind of the feel of the vocal without the effects, and you can hear that S-ing. Heart more deep than shallow. Quite a severe S on that, so. Heart more deep than shallow. That just takes that straight out. Let's hear it with Soothe. Heart more deep than shallow. Again, it just takes out some of that mud and mess in the mid range. I then use this, the CLA vocals, which is kind of a godsend for me, really. I used it on all my vocals and put it on bits and bobs here and there, but it really transforms things. So. Heart more deep than shallow. What I've used it for here is just to put the vocal in a room and give it kind of, make it sound like it's in a space, basically. But then JJP vocals, which is another one from Waves. These are both from Waves, by the way. Quite old plugins now, been around for some time. But the Jack Joseph Puig, sorry if I've not pronounced that right, but this guy is like a magic box, honestly. I think this is probably giving it most of the tone and character. Heart more deep than shallow. So you can hear it. Heart more deep than shallow. Really starting to give it a bit more saturation, and I really love the space on this and the magic, which I haven't actually used here. It's really cool, and it's got a very intense compressor, which works well. All these knobs are great, so yeah, just mess around with it and see how you go, but it's brilliant. And then I'm pulling it into one of my absolute favorite compressors right now, which is the Tube Tech, and yeah, CL1B, and this thing is just absolutely insane for processing anything. Heart more deep than shallow. As you can see, I'm doing like -7 dB of compression there on there, so it's just absolutely slamming it and really just finishing off that vocal to get it completely slammed, basically, and sounding really powerful in the mix. Don't think I actually opened and used the Valhalla on this one. I think I used the this. I think I'm using this as more of an effect or something, but we'll skip that one. But then I go into an EQ and just roll off all the lows here. We can see. Heart more deep than shallow. That just cleans up the vocal. I don't know what I use the peak compressor for in this absolute instance, but it is used to sidechain, and for some reason it is over there. It doesn't want to come over. I'll just open that. There we go. So yeah, it's pretty boring actually. Nothing really to look at in this plugin. Shimmer is probably what I'm using for all my reverb mainly, so we'll just knock that on. Heart more deep than shallow. Heart more deep than shallow. Yeah, and that's not actually using any of the shift functionality. The feedback's completely zero. Medium stereo on there. Size is around 30, and yeah, not really touching anything else, I don't think, but Shimmer is my go-to. Then I use Duck to compress it and sidechain it with my kick, and that's pretty useful. So that kind of allows me to do things like bouncing and stuttering and stuff. So there's my vocal chain, and let's run the track. Heart more deep than shallow. Heart more deep than shallow. Heart more deep than shallow. Shallow, shallow. Okay, so that's the main drop, or the first drop even. We drop in and we've got, straight away we've got the bass line hitting. The bass line is actually made up of two layers here, two separate layers. You've got this first one, which is like your traditional stabby bass sound. Then underneath it you've got a more reese bass thing, or kind of just a plain saw wave really. And then together they kind of complement each other well. And yeah, I think these are, but mainly coming off Hive, which is an absolute beast for everything bass and everything. Specifically, these are Audio 10 sounds, which are just some of the best that I've ever come across, to be honest with you. I've most likely tweaked to this patch a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what I've done to the patch, but yeah, probably tweaked the envelopes a bit maybe for the cutoffs, and yeah, messed around. We've got a diva here doing the kind of straight bass, doing this, and it's literally just the default patch, I think, just with a different envelope and just flattened out. Really basic, just, you know, a saw bass with the plate reverb, I think, going on it. In terms of processing for these two, let's have a look at it. So for the first one, for the sort of pluck bass, not a lot of processing. I'm taking out all the low end because I think the other bass, the sustain bass, is kind of filling that void for the lows. Compressor's not doing anything. Got a roll off on the highs for the EQ. I think I experimented with track spacer, but that's off, so I didn't actually get used in the final track. And here I'm just taking down a bit of that sub just to make sure we're not going crazy. And that's literally the bass track there. In terms of routing though, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm routing these two into this main channel here, yeah. So those two basses are routing into another track, and that track has a Manny D on it, and a tiny little bumper amplifier, 600, 700, 650, interesting. And then that track then feeds into this, which is my bus, which has a little bit of a Pultec kind of vibe going on there with Pro Q3. So moving on to the kick then. The kick is actually done in a plugin called Bassism. Here it is. And you can use this plugin to kind of build your own kicks. Highly recommend it, go check it out if you haven't already heard of it. I wouldn't really bank on the presets being too good though, so yeah, it's best to learn how to work and use this thing to get what you really want out of it. definitely worth the time that you spend on it. In terms of processing on the kick, so the kick comes in here. We've got an EQ bumping high end and a little bit of shaping going on there, so not too much processing. I did have a Saturn on it, but I think I substituted that out. Don't think there's any saturation on my lows at the moment. So yeah, that's the kick pretty much. It's very basic, but that Bassism, I spent quite a bit of time learning how to use it, and yeah, I can get some really nice kicks out of it. Just trying a little bit of white noise downlifter there, just to keep things moving. And then we roll into some more drums, so we have quite a lot of hats. There's the hats and claps here. It's actually more of the perk stuff, but yeah, I just built a little loop there using one of my favorite things about FL Studio, the pattern blocks. So good. Say what you want about FL, but yeah, it's got a damn good sequencer, man. So that's like the first layer of drums after the kick, and then I have here just a straight up 909 hat, and I think there's probably some shimmer shaker shack, most likely. Yeah, shimmer shaker strike, sorry. Just absolutely top class. And down here we've actually got a little bit of a loop going just to kind of pad it out, I think. So it's kind of like a UKG kind of loop, got that kind of street vibe, which really kind of adds a little bit of edge to the tune. Just kind of keeps things moving, keeps it a little bit more alive. It's got a little fill at the end there as well, which is cool. That's the drums. In terms of what we're processing, we're doing on them, so they all kind of sit over here on their own. Really, there's a bit of EQ. It's actually muted synchronizer. Oh, the meme. Yeah, some EQ here and there, nothing major, but they all run into my kind of bus here, which actually has a sound goodizer on it, unironically. Wow. I use transient processor a lot to kind of accentuate the attack of the drums. Roll off the low end here. Throw it into a soothe too, because just everything sounds better with soothe on it. I have a filter for doing kind of, like sweeps and breaks and stuff. And I use the BX Digital 3 here, which is absolutely sweet, man. Don't really know what I'm doing with this. I don't think that's actually doing anything. And I'm just suppressing the highs a little bit with the EQ2 from FL. That's pretty much it for the drums. I then also route the drum bus off into Devil Lock, which is a classic technique, and then just mix that in. It's a bit of saturation. You can hear it's just much more powerful, and yeah, just kind of mix that back down into the mix bus. Can't believe there's a sound goodizer on there. That's funny. So yeah, that's pretty much the drums there. This little thing here, this is actually the original vocal that I cut up and just made a stutter out of. Just threw a whole load of processing on it. Main thing that you want to see is this duck that just creates a gating effect. Really useful and helpful for that. But yeah, it's that's kind of where I used the original vocal to kind of make my own little sound there. Yeah, so also create these like reverse vocal bits and bobs just by sort of taking pieces of the vocal, flooding them in reverb, and then basically reversing the tails, and you get some nice effects. And that's where I'm on the vocal, you can hear it starting to jitter. So that'd be where I'm pulling in, turning on the duck effect again. You can see I'm controlling the mix of that here, probably. Yeah, the duck mix just like fades in. That enables me to kind of do that stuttering effect on the main vocal there, which is really cool. Got these little 909 fills as well, just every now and then. A few of these good old nice little hits there, keep things rolling along. Bring back in the plugs as well. Sorry, no, this is a new sound. This is my D3 arpeggiator thing. I really love phasers and always want to try and fit a phaser in somewhere. So yeah. Phasers actually on the plugin itself. There's a sound Colorize on there. I can't believe what's happening. It's funny though. We've got Elevven cut there. Using a phaser here, really great one from Melda. Some of the best plugins. Yeah, especially this phaser is super cool. Get lost in that for a long time. Got a little bit of EQ there to just tame off that little spike there around 5k. And then the trusty wider, which is I think a free plugin from good old Infected Mushroom, and 69% because everybody knows why. And that is it. It runs into my music bus, which I cut all the lows off, so 115 Hz, just slice it off. That's all my kind of synth and stuff go into that bus. But again, those are the same chords from the piano. So we introduce that. You can hear I'm just playing with the cut off in the background there. Then into the drop, into the break even, and yeah, we just go straight in with the pianos and the arcade vocal. A bit of downlifter to cool things off. Start coming in with the vocal and the phaser block key thing. And the big moment, we have the sub bass, or the sustain bass from before that we use in the main drop, and obviously the lead that comes in, the nice big trance lead, which I use always Spire basically for these sounds. I do also have the Virus TI, which is very similar to these plugins, and will sometimes use the Virus, but this case it is Spire. It's basically the same. And yeah, I have two different skins. Why? Sometimes I'd like a change. But yeah, there's two layers to that. There's one that's more trancey and kind of spacey. And then there's that layer which is a bit more punch through the mix, kind of sharper, spikier. And together they kind of complement each other quite well. that's the MIDI. It's quite a lot of processing, I think, on these guys. What about 31? So those both route. That one routes over to music, and music doesn't do anything. But this guy routes it into this channel. Aha, we have a thermal. I thought there was something going on. I'm pretty sure this is just a patch that I haven't done anything to. Freak shimmy. Might have messed around with a few of these here. But yeah, the thermal's quite interesting and a beast in itself. But yeah, have a look and see what sounds good. For some reason I've used Fruity Compressor. Honestly, I'm surprising myself with this. Some of the stuff I've been using. But yeah, so yeah, it's just a really bog standard compressor. No UI on this thing, but there's the settings for that. Run that into a reverb to give it some awesome epicness, and then an EQ. Roll off the lows and take a bit of the mids out just to clean things up. But let's just hear a before and after. So you can see that's super clean and basic. Stick thermal on and you get that kind of wow sound in the background, which is really cool. The compressor just flattens things. Reverb. And then the EQ. Just to clean things up a bit. That's the lead in the track. Yeah, we just had a 909 hat just running the whole way. Had a little bit of a skip there where it's kind of does a little fill. Just in the background there, a little fill. Probably 1% noticed that. And then, yeah, into the drop. And my CPU's gonna die. But yeah, so the drop is pretty much just everything, almost everything. I don't have the piano, I've got the bass, the kick, drums here, the lead, some more drums, the phaser pad thing, with a reverse effect and a drop down, downlifter, sorry, and then some of the vocals that I've chopped up and kind of rearranged a bit, and yeah, a ton of automation and yeah, some more drums. So it's really quite basic and minimal at its core, really. But I feel like that's what makes a tune really stand out, if it can sustain itself on just a few elements, really. So yeah, this is it. Yeah, you'll see the struggles I have to go through. So welcome to my world for a minute. But yeah, so that's pretty much the tune. And yeah, well, thanks for joining me. And if you've stuck around this long, consider subscribing. I'll be doing some more videos of similar kind of breakdowns of tracks and stuff. I also live stream on Twitch, so get up MXVDJ on socials, Twitch, Instagram, follow along. If you've got any specific questions that I haven't covered in this video, yeah, please reach out to me and let me know, or just drop it in the comments. And yeah, love to hear what you guys think. Love to hear what you guys think. Awesome. Well, until next time, peace out.